Technological Singularity was first suggested by the philosopher and computer scientist I J Goods. He wrote in 1965, "Let an ultra-intelligent machine be defined as a machine that can far surpass all the intellectual activities of any man, however clever. Since the design of machines is one of these intellectual activities, an ultra-intelligent machine could design even better machines. There would then unquestionably be an intelligence explosion, and the intelligence of man would be left far behind. Thus, the first ultra-intelligent machine is the last invention that man need ever make." In other words, AI implies super AI. There is a grand tradition in artificial intelligence of an arrogant optimism. The only computer scientist to win a Nobel Prize, Herbert Simon, announced in 1959 that AI would be finished within 10 years, and indeed that an AI itself would then be contending for a Nobel Prize. The founder himself of both computer science and AI, Alan Turing, said that his test, the Turing test, would be passed by the year 2000. No one still insists on these dates. Pessimists like Ray Kurzweil push the date all the way back to 2029. A super pessimist like me sees the ratio of human IQ to artificial IQ as being a computation error for the foreseeable future. To be sure, in times like these we can't see very far. Even if an impending singularity doesn't imply an imminent singularity, and even if arrogance does imply error, Goods' argument was good. AI does imply super AI. But we're a long way from there. Wandering around in a tanglewood with no compass. There are, however, an amazing variety of brooks and streams to follow, which themselves seem to support an extraordinarily rich flora and fauna, all of them worth exploring. AI offers no end of discoveries, theoretical and practical, and no end of applications. Bayesian nets by now have spun up many thousands of applications in government, science, and industry. Some of them are still in use. The application area of most interest to me, however, is, perhaps oddly, philosophy. Learning how to learn Bayesian nets, that is, causal models of the world, from observing and interacting with our world just is experimental philosophy of science. Computers have brought philosophy to a turning point. Not only have philosophers stopped simply reading their public lectures off of paper, the most obscure and boring way to present philosophical ramblings, and started using PowerPoint to mangle their ideas instead. But large numbers of philosophers are turning their backs on armchair analytic philosophy and turning towards experimental philosophy. To be sure, mostly with disappointing results, demonstrating that philosophers on the whole make for pretty lousy empiricists. Much of that work has involved collecting biased samples of how people speak and think about the world, which I've learned thanks to Neil here in recent times. Computer simulation offers philosophers the opportunity to conduct genuine experiments upon virtual beings, to see what ways of speaking and thinking actually work. The power of computer simulation to help us make sense of our world so far hugely outstrips the power of those simulations themselves to make sense of anything. Those thousands of Bayesian nets just are simulations of physical systems, for the most part. Artificial life models simulate populations of rabbits and foxes, the diurnal eating patterns of trout, the extinction of tree subpopulations in isolated woodland patches, the evolution of aging rates across species, the coevolution of diseases and their hosts, the evolution of language, cognition, and social behavior. There is no scientific discipline today free of these kinds of computer simulations. Both of these books are aimed at explaining and exploring this virtual landscape upon which populations of simulation flourish and multiply. This is the actualized promise of computers, not to replace humans in peace or war, but to aid humans in both. Indeed, to aid humans in almost every endeavor except producing a human-level intelligence, where primitive methods remain superior. Perhaps the greatest human invention so far has been that of writing, but computers are not really far behind.
Do you want to have a discussion, or shall I?
Sure. Anybody have any questions about the books or their contents? Or producing a human-level artificial intelligence? No, No? Yes?
How do you deal with people presenting their thing to you about AI replacing humans?
Presenting what, sorry?
Have you ever had anyone say to you that if AI replaced humans in almost all jobs, what would people do? Would they just kind of lounge around having everything done for them? How would our economy work? Well, just stop.
That's an interesting problem. It would be a problem, I think, that we would love to have. The idea of having a leisure society where people are actually taken care of by their robotic children is somehow potentially appealing. It's not really a near-term prospect, but as a long-term, I imagine that humans on the whole are far too curious to be happy just sitting around being cared for. So I don't imagine that would really be the outcome.
So you think it would free up a lot of time for more research and things? It would actually advance people?
Interesting though. It may well be that the computers can do the research so much better than we can.
You mentioned that writing was a sign of human intelligence, and you said computers weren't far behind. So I'm just wondering, do we have a computer, Jane Austen, waiting in the wings to...
Oh, that's the Nobel Prize that Herbert Simon thought would be taken by a computer by the year 1970.
Okay.
He was very wrong then, and were he to repeat it today, he'd be very wrong today.
So it's a long way away.
There's our natural language generation expert in the back shaking her head saying, no way, it's not about to happen. So I'll take her word for it. Yeah?
Yeah, just to answer the first question, I think we may, the prosperity that we're seeing today, the rise in property prices, may be in no small way caused by some of the automation going on in society that benefits from information technology. Not I myself, having worked for 3 years, I've benefited from that land investment. So, I'm spending my time, doing, philosophy. I'm here now, engaging in this. So, yeah.
People have stopped asking the question, where is this mythical productivity benefit of computers? That's true. They have stopped asking.
Okay, they can see it then.
Yeah, there used to be, I think in the 1980s, there was a lot of question about whether there was really a benefit. Yeah. That's gone.
It took a little while.
But when you talk about rising property prices, it's clear we're not in America.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah?